Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Fallout Bar here at Online Darts with myself, Jack Colby Garwood, and the lovely Cam McFarlane. Cam, we're reunited once again.
We are. It's been 3 weeks, I think, now, isn't it? We had 2 weeks where I was gallivanting for one, then you were gallivanting for another, and it feels a long time, to be honest, since I've seen your. I was going to say lovely face. I'm just going to stick with face. I'm going to leave it at just face.
With the next adjective. I could feel one was coming. Should we talk cricket? Should we not talk cricket? Probably not, because Jar's not here and his team are the one that
I'm happy to talk cricket because we put the. Probably shouldn't be too many in case some of them are watching us, but the lot from the other side of the Pennines that have many issues that we'll not get into here.
Yeah, we just take the nick out of anyone and everyone that we can. Evening to everybody in the chat room. HJV says, nice to see Price back winning. Speak for yourself now, Jack. Colin says, good evening, everybody. Craig says, good evening. Good evening to us as well. Don't forget to get involved in the chat room throughout tonight's show. Rose is back. Good to see Rose. And there is also a poll in the chat room for you guys this evening. I've chucked it in there for you. It was who will take the 4th spot in the Premier League. This is presuming, well, 2 are already there. Johnny Clayton and after tonight's results, Michael van Gerwen have ensured their spot in Berlin in a few weeks' time. I'm saying that James Wade is there, despite the fact he's missed tonight. If he misses next week, that position might change a little bit, but I think Wade is there as well. So I think there's one more spot up for grabs right now, and that's between Peter Wright, who currently holds that spot, Gerwin Price, Joe Cullen, and an outside chance of Michael Smith. I'll put it there just in case anybody fancies a pop at him, see if he can pull it off after his 3 semi-finals in a row. If only they were finals, maybe we were having a different conversation right now. Colin is in as well. He says evening to both of us. Some numpties in the chat room. Oh, shoot, I can. You know the drill then by now, folks. We're going to talk you through all of tonight's action. Look ahead to next week, give our predictions in between. Hopefully, at some point, an interview with tonight's winner will arrive. We start the night with Gary Anderson against Gerwin Price. That is because James Wade was forced to withdraw due to illness. The statement provided by his fan page and management company yesterday or the day before now said that James Wade is still recovering in hospital in Leverkusen after he was taken ill after his quarterfinal win over Ryan Searle on the European Tour on Sunday. Still no update from then, so hopefully Wade can make it back for next week. He isn't in this weekend's Euro Tour. I don't think he qualified for it anyway. So he does have another week now to get himself fit and ready and get back and be comfortable ahead of his return to the Oki. And with just 2 weeks left in the Premier League, we wish him the best. Hope he's back fit for it, because let's be honest, he is one of the most informed players in the world right now. And to see him ruled out through no fault of his own is a little bit, which is harsh, isn't it? We see this through no fault of their own for a number of players. Gerwin Price struck down with his hand injury and various other things. Like, just want to see the top guys playing as well and being as healthy as possible as they can.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't remember exactly what I predicted last week. We never can. We always forget. But I'm pretty sure I had Wade having a good run here this week, if not going on and possibly winning it. I can't quite remember what I said now, but I certainly fancied him to have a good run. And he was having a very good run at Euro Tour as well, and was looking good going into that semi-final. I think I saw that he'd been released from hospital today, I think was what they said today, and I assume he's travelled home today. But yeah, hopefully we see him back next week. If we don't, it kind of questions not just whether he'll qualify for the top 4, because I think he still might. I think he might still have enough of a buffer, but whether he will actually play then again, I suppose we've got an extra couple of weeks until finals night, so he's got a bit of time to get himself back to it. I think he's probably got enough to qualify already without possibly playing again. But yeah, we want to see him there and we want to see him playing. Like you say, he is one of the form players right now, and I've never been his biggest supporter, but I've enjoyed watching him the last few weeks. So we all want to see him there. We don't want to see people getting buys into the first round because it doesn't particularly help the player that has to sit there and wait until the semi-finals before they get a game either.
Yeah, indeed. And the second time Joe Cullen's been in this position, the second time he's been beaten.
Yeah, both times he's
pretty
lost,
comfortably by the time that he's come around to play his game following.
It's tough, isn't it? It's tough having to wait, and I suppose it's only the same as the first game for everyone else, and he could probably get there a bit later and do the same sort of prep, but it does still feel like you're waiting around for a while, especially if the games go on for a bit in the first round as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's not easy, and I almost in the corner that maybe we should have some form of reserve that if someone pulls out, we just have someone turn up and just have a game just for the crowd as much as anything, and to give someone a bit of exposure, a younger sort of player or up and comer, and someone local, like a bit like the contenders that we had the first time around when we did it, and they were all kind of locals, and just do that and just make sure the crowd get the full slate of games as well. While we're at it, that press release from Wadey and his team was a little bit.
It was a line or two. Like
it was very much of that press release that was about his career rather than how he was doing and how he was getting on, which was a bit. There was no need to drop in the 11 major titles and world number 5 and whatever they said about one of the foreign players in the world right now. It wasn't needed. Just tell us how he's getting on and that he's all right, basically, is what we wanted to hear.
It was when they referred to him as the player. It's a statement coming from Wade's social media platform.
I was going to say it from his own.
Refer to himself as the player.
Yeah, from his own page, like he's talking about himself in the third person.
Whether that's an update from him or his team, anyway, you definitely don't refer to yourself as or refer to James as the player of all
maybe he's changing his nickname. Maybe he's going to come back as the player.
Sure, it's that. It's just like the dart player. Like it's just an observation or a statement of what he does. But I'm a bit like, a little bit.
It seemed like it was written by someone nothing to do with him that was writing a press piece about him.
Yes. Anyway, let's move on before we get drawn into talk about other press releases today. First game of the night, Gerwin Price defeated
you had to go there, didn't you?
Anderson. That's it now. That's wraps for Gary Anderson. He's absolutely marked that. Guaranteed.
Well, it is official, isn't it now?
Not been the best campaign for him, but a solid start for Gezi. 100 average from him. Just a 180, 1 ton plus checkout, but that's job done in first to 6, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was a little bit. I mean, there was a little period in the middle where Gezi went into a lead early on, and then Andor fired back at him, and they were both averaging over a ton, and it looked like he could potentially go on and win it, but then Gezi just maintained that level, and Andor dropped off a little bit, and that was it, really. And in that short format, you can't afford to have that drop-off.
Bang on assessment, mate. Absolutely spot on. Cannot afford to drop off. Tonight's almost been a night of comebacks in such short spaces as well. Didn't quite materialise in this one for Gary, but it feels like it's the same old for this entire campaign with Gary. Competitive for a couple of legs, drops off towards the back end of it. Doesn't quite have that fight or that belief when it gets to the nitty-gritty end of a best of 11 to deliver the level that we're used to seeing. I mean, it doesn't quite have that timing almost. And that part of me comes from belief or desire to win. Yeah,
I think you're right, and I think that is it. And I don't think he particularly wants to be there. And because he doesn't, there's maybe not that same drive and that belief that he's going to go on and win it. Because I don't think it really matters to him as much as it does to the other players. You could see how much it mattered to Gezi. When Gezi hit shots tonight, he was pumped up and he was at it, and he fancied it. He was giving it the roast to the crowd, and I just don't think there's that same desire from Gary, and I think that's why we're not seeing him do it in those moments where it matters.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on, mate. Which is, it's just a shame, isn't it? Like, I'd kill to have half the amount of talent that Gary Anderson has and then actually give the application to it. And I know he's put the application in years gone by, etc., and that might not be his priority right now, but as someone that spent a lot of time with Kyle Anderson, I can tell you that he was not one of the biggest practices you'll ever see. In fact, it was incredibly difficult to get him off his backside to practice. And I'm like, you have so much talent, an hour a day, put it in for a couple of years, and then ride off into the sunset and do what you want. But while you've got a gift like you have, and there are people out there that would absolutely murder for an ounce of the talent that you've been blessed with, make the bloody most of it, please. And it sort of feels like that with Gary. We know he's coming towards the end of his career, but if he puts the hard work in for 6 to 9 months, stays at that decent level, he can go out on a high, probably win another title or two, because he's just genuinely that good when he turns up and gets going, and leave on his own terms, revered and remembered at the absolute peak that Gary Anderson can be, instead of half-assing the last couple of years. It's the same criticism I had of Barney, to be fair.
That's exactly what I was going to say as soon as you went down that road.
Just without the fanfare and, oh, look at me, I'm leaving sort of thing. Gary won't do that. Gary will just disappear. Yeah. But it is the same criticism you had of Raymond van Barneveld. How many more times? At least Gary isn't egging us on, going, I'm going to play in everything, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He's never made that statement. He just can't be. He just looks like he can't be asked. But it is a shame for people that have supported Gary and want to see him constantly at peak Gary, that for the sake of 6 to 9 months effort and then ride off forever, do whatever. He could go and accumulate the same amount of money now in the rest of this year and leave at the end of the year that he could in the next 3 years with the right application.
Yeah.
He carries on the way he's going. And to me, put it in for a year and then disappear. You can get out 2 hours, 2 years early, whatever else, be done with it, and go and spend time with your family and fish and do all the other things that are now a bigger priority in your life than playing darts.
And that's the thing. And for me, it's not even about that. If he doesn't want to put it in, he doesn't want to put it in, and that's for him. But to throw a little question out there, if you could pick your top 4 that you wanted to see out of these 8 in the finals night, he's in there, isn't he? Yeah. Like, playing at his best. Your top 4 playing at the best that you want to see in this finals night, he's certainly in there for me, and I reckon he is for you as well. And that's what we all want to see. So if he's going to turn up to these events, we all want to see him competing at the top of it. We don't want to see him like half-arsing it. Like, and that's the thing. And we all love watching Gary, and we all really like the guy. And it's just a little bit disappointing when you see it.
Yeah, 100%. Bang on, mate. Let's move on then before it becomes a tribute to Gary Anderson's career almost. Yeah. Match number 2, a big comeback from 4-1 down. Michael Smith beats the number 1 in the table.
Nope. You missed the game. Match number 2 was Michael Van Gogh against Peter Wright.
I'm even staring at the list. Match number 2 was Michael Van Gogh against Peter Wright, and it was a little bit of a demolition job, 6-1 from the Green Machine. Once again, Peter Wright, just 2.5 weeks after speaking to the PDC as a press release, saying he was going to stick with the same darts, he was fed up of losing, etc., etc. We see a completely new, I say completely new, we see a new setup in the hands of Peter Wright tonight, but they wouldn't have been that new if they were in Johnny Clayton's hands, because they were the new gold darts released by Red Dragon on behalf of Johnny Clayton, with exactly the same stem and a different colour but identically shaped flight. Cam, what on earth is that man doing?
I don't know. I sat on here a couple of weeks ago after the press release saying it's fantastic. Right, he's going to actually sit. He's going to sit down there. He's realised that he's doing the wrong thing by messing about with darts every week, and he's gonna properly focus with the darts that we all know that he's best with. And then he turns up with Johnny Clayton's handoffs from the practice room. I don't know what did he forget to bring his with him and borrow the set off Johnny? I just don't understand what he's doing. And he did start off okay with them. He looked quite good for the first 2 legs, and then he was worse than useless after that. So again, stop using other darts. Just stop doing it.
I mean, on the upside, he was 50% on the outer ring. The issue is he only had 2
darts
double in the match.
I don't think he had a dart at double after the first 2 legs. I don't think, if I can remember rightly. I think those first 2 were in the first 2 legs, possibly. I don't know now. Anyway, he was crap. He was absolutely useless, and he just needs to go back to the darts they told us he's going to keep using, because that's when he plays well.
A tournament that means you have to be consistent for 16 weeks is never ever going to suit Peter Wright. It's just not what he does. But I do have concerns over him now. The fact that the gold darts just don't seem to be there is the way out of trouble. He's leaned on that for so long when he needs a performance, and the fact he hasn't been able to deliver that the last couple of times, perhaps he's overthinking them as well. And look, he is an incredibly talented dart player, and if I'm not sure how many other players in the world could change as often as Peter Wright does and still get results and be world number one.
None of them, to be fair. No one could.
Because he's incredibly talented. But it's in those key moments. It's in those, like, the fact he can rock up and throw a 90 average with them, brilliant. But he needs to be rocking up and throwing a 97, 98 average, ton plus average every single week. Rocking up and going, oh, look how good I am with these ones. I can chuck a 90 with them and I can look brilliant for a couple of legs. And then where I haven't put all the hours in, where I'm chasing around the dartboard. Look, anybody can pick up a set of darts and stand there and throw them at treble 20, and after half an hour to an hour, you'll have them going pretty well where you want them to. When you start moving around the board, those shots that you just don't practice as often or whatever else, that's where your lack of practice with a set will catch up on you, and it just seems to be that's what's happening for Peter Wright for me.
Yeah, and it's just, I just don't understand it, and I just don't understand what the point of that press release was, or where he was telling us that he's going to do it. And unless maybe that's what he meant. It's just every set of darts he uses from now on is going to be gold, maybe. Maybe that's what he meant. Maybe he's not going to switch. He's just going to stick with the colour gold, and he's going to go with that.
Like an Austin Powers bad guy.
Yeah.
Peter Wright is now a gold member. Talking of gold member, I can see ginger hair in the background of our show. Hi, Phil. Anyway, on to the game that I was about to talk about. From 4-1 behind, Michael Smith does defeat Johnny Clayton 6-5. This is better from Smith. Look, slow enough start to be 4-1 behind Johnny Clayton, but that just happens when you play Johnny Clayton sometimes. But after back-to-back wins on the Pro Tour this weekend, here we go from Michael Smith. This is what you need. Making semi-finals. From semi-finals, you need to push on to finals, but you have to get out of that first round. And for 3 weeks in a row now, Michael Smith has started to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't even a slow start from him, in fairness. He just missed opportunities. He was averaging about 104 through 4 legs and was 3-1 down because Johnny Clayton had took out 3 ton-plus finishes in a row. I don't really know how he won this game, and when he did, though, I thought, right, this is the turning point. He goes on and he probably wins tonight. And I was really praying he did, because I really wanted to win one, at least win one. And like, if he had done, he's right back in that race for still getting there, and he still can make it because he has picked up a couple of points every week for the last few weeks. Really just thought this might be the turning point for him, and the bottle to get through it. I mean, that last leg where he's missed, he wasn't that close to the treble 20 first dart on that 96, and the darts hit the treble 20 and then the darts hit the double 8 was just absolutely class under pressure from him. I am gonna have a little go at Johnny Clayton. What the hell he is doing going double 16, double top with 72 left is when he had a marker on the treble 20 anyway. And even if he didn't want to go for that and he didn't like the lie of it, double 16, double top is not the way you go double. Like
18's 18 is the way you go double.
Yeah, it's just utterly ridiculous, and it's just poor from Johnny again. And we know his counting's not great, and maybe that's the only way he could work out 72 in his head. I don't know under that pressure, but it's just rubbish. And there were a few points in this game as well where every time he was on 305, he started on 20s. He just needs to think a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know what he was doing going that way. If it comes off, I suppose it looks fantastic, but it's not the way to go for it. You go through 2 at the same target, or you go for a treble that you're pretty good at in treble 16 if you don't like the lie on the 20. But the lie on the 20 look pretty good, to be honest, and leave double 6.
I guess the issue when you talk about 305 and that sort of thing is when you aren't the best counter or you haven't been brought up to play it in a certain way, you're then thinking about the leg so much earlier on than you would traditionally have to. Whereas I can step up to the hockey and other players can and that sort of thing, that will be able to see those numbers and go, right, I have to start here, because that's just the way you're there, you know your ins and outs and that sort of thing. But when you have to adapt your game from that, you haven't really thought about that, or you just traditionally get up and just chuck your darts. And then that involves an extra level of thinking in a game that is already incredibly mental. I can see why players just power on with it. But at the very, very top level, which Johnny Clayton is right now, it is going to cost you the odd dart at a double, which is going to cost you it's very, very small margins for someone like Johnny Clayton.
Yeah, I just think on the 305, I'm kind of, it's one of those ones where I'm all right with starting on 20, because you've got to hit 2 treble 20s regardless if you're gonna leave a finish. But I know for a fact from watching Johnny Clayton, if he hits the first 2 treble 20s, he'll throw at 20s again anyway. He'll forget to throw at the 18s last start, which is why he should have it in his head that he's going straight at the 18 first and then goes to the 20s. But
yeah,
you just think
at a time, just where somebody stood next to him shouting it, just so it gets stuck in his head.
Yeah, but we don't want to encourage shouting from
the crowd. I mean, in practice, he needs to go and practice legs over and over again. And when he gets to something and he looks like he's about to throw straight, stop, think.
Maybe we can just develop an app and sell it to him and Jose and a couple of others, where as soon as he gets to one of those sort of numbers, he just shouts out the number they need to go to. We can develop this. We'll make a fortune. Yeah,
and Jose and we'll be absolutely set.
Yeah, we'll just get like we only need like 2% of their earnings or something, and we'll be all right going forwards. Yeah, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? And we know he's just not going to do it. But I just thought it was to take nothing away from Smith at that point at 4-1 down. I was sat here thinking 6-1 was on, and for him to come back and win it, fair play to him, and it's another 2 points, which keeps him in the hunt just about. And we'll talk about why it is just about in a moment. But it was a big win for Michael Smith from that position. Would have loved it to have been more, obviously. Next up is the first semi-final, Gerwyn Price against Joe Cullen. We touched on this a little bit earlier. It's the second time that Cullen has received a bye in this campaign. He looked a little bit cold the first time he was in that position. Possibly the same again here. 90 average from Cullen. Gerwyn Price, magnificent though. Another 100 average, 60% on the doubles. 4 180s for the Iceman. Just a solid performance from him. Yeah, this was, as much as we say it all the time about we get into is Van Gerwen back, this was the game where I genuinely thought, Gezi looks like he's back and he looks fit and firing again here. Like, I know he averaged pretty much the same in the first game. It was about half a point lower or something like that against Gary, but he didn't look as comfortably against Gary as he did in this, whereas this game, he looked like he was back at his best and firing, and he hit the shots when he needed to. Lovely 111 that he probably needed at that point, because that was when Joe was just starting to fire back. Joe had just fired in the 1-2-4 the leg before, I think, as well. And it kind of felt a bit like he needed that. And when that went in, he just he cruised on a little bit from there. Yeah,
there was a few boos on the walk-on and perhaps on the very, very last match double. But do you think that playing in a mostly neutral venue tonight, just get on with it? They're not really there to make a point of being the Irish or whatever else. There's no one really home favourite for that. Just played into Gezi's hands a little bit tonight, and that it's still a Premier League crowd. It's still got its moments, but in terms of hostility, there have certainly been far worse for Gerwyn Price this year.
Yeah, there's definitely been worse. I did think he got it quite a bit tonight from the crowd, especially when he missed a couple of doubles early against Ando. But yeah, they were pretty fair. Well, I say they were pretty fair. I just thought they were pretty flat, to be honest, tonight. I don't know whether you thought the same watching it. It was pretty flat throughout, to be honest. And I think whether everyone's kind of the same as us right now, we're a bit tired of this format, to be honest. But
I keep saying it. We've got a Premier League in Birmingham. We've got one in Nottingham, one in Sheffield, Leeds, Manchester, and Liverpool. There's just an awful lot in a commutable area to each other. Yeah. I know I've just put Birmingham and Manchester and Liverpool in the same equation there, but you get what I'm saying. Like, when you can just,
they're not a long way away.
You could stagger them in between and be absolutely content with it.
Well, that's it. It's like if you take me, for example, in Manchester, I've got one that's 30 seconds. I've got Liverpool that's about 45 minutes. Sheffield probably an hour. Nottingham an hour and a half. Birmingham an hour and a half. It's not. There are a lot of very close venues together. You are right with that, and Leeds as well. And then it's So
You're not going any further north. It's grim up there.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's six. There's 6 venues though with it that are all within an hour that you can easily go to, and that I have been to multiple ones in seasons, and to be honest, this year I just haven't really fancied. I didn't even go to Manchester this year. I did go to Dublin, but I just fancied a little trip out to Dublin, and I'd never been to the it used to be the Point, and it's now the 3 Arena, and I just fancied a trip out to there. It was somewhere new, but yeah, in terms of going to every one, which I would have done in other years, I'm a little bit tired of this format, and I think the crowd are all a bit the same.
Yes. On to the second semi-final, and when I said it was a little bit of a night of comebacks earlier on, it's because of this match as well. Michael Smith was in absolute cruise control at 4-1 up on Michael Van Gogh, and he missed darts to be 5-1 up on the Green Machine that would have surely seen Michael Smith into another Premier League final, given the form that he played over the last 2 days of the Pro Tour. However, those moments started to slip away from Michael Smith. Batches of darts missed with 3 in hand, and Michael Van Gogh reels him in, ends up with a 6-5 victory. 6-12 on doubles for Van Gogh, and the standout as 5 from 16 from Michael Smith. 2 weeks to go now. Bully Boy Comet came into this night in the hottest form he possibly could have been in, having won back-to-back Pro Tours in the last couple of days. Gets away with one in the first round, absolutely cruising in the second round, and it just doesn't come off. And now you're looking at it going, it's just not going to happen with 2 weeks to go, is it?
Probably not. He's probably got to win both nights if he's going to do it. I really thought tonight was going to be...
Oh, no, I'm not even talking about qualifying. I'm talking about winning a night. With 2 nights to go, the odds are stacked against Michael Smith right now.
Yeah, a little bit. And I did think this was probably his best shout. And I thought when he scraped through against Johnny and found a way to win that one, especially off the back of 2 unbelievable nights at the Pro Tour, days at the Pro Tour, where that final yesterday against Callum Ridds was just a performance that was on another level. I did think once he'd snuck through that, I thought he would get through again. And I thought even when he went 5-4 down against Michael, I thought once he then got it back level, I still fancied him to go on and win this one as well. Yeah, this would have been the night, because it's coming off the back of 2 Pro Tours where it's not a 4 days in between like usual. He's not had the Pro Tours and then had to wait and come into it. He's come into it the next day off it. That I thought he may do it. Though the little bit that worried me was I saw his tweet yesterday that he didn't really want to play in the Pro Tours because he was tired and didn't fancy it. So I did think 3 days on the bounce, maybe that might have hurt him more than it usually would have done. So it was one of those.
I asked for permission from his wife.
I know. Yeah.
He's like, "No,
yeah, I'm allowed to take it off." No, you're not.
Gone with you. I have plans.
Yeah,
stay away.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? But I just think, maybe 3 days in a row was a little bit much off the back of playing so much on the Pro Tours the last couple of days. And this game, it just looked a bit, for me, that neither of them were particularly focused. There was so much of it would be 180 or 140, and then it was 42, 43. It wasn't even like they were just straight 60s. There were wayward darts every time as well. They were 40s, and it just looked like they weren't both completely at it until the last couple of legs, probably, and then the standard did pick up a little bit.
I think for Smith, you can say that's the panic. He switches off at 4-1 up, looking comfortable, should be 5-1. Then the panic of Van Gogh coming back at him is the reason for that. For Van Gogh, as good as he has looked and as brilliant as he has been results-wise and averages-wise and getting over the line, he's won 5 of his last 10 tournaments, I think, and he's been in 6 Premier League finals now or something ridiculous. I'm still not convinced that action is the same as it was before. There's still the odd little jolty moment in it. There's still the odd push of the dart. There's still some that just land in the board that little bit funny that we're just not used to seeing from Michael van Gerwen. He just needs to tighten them up a little bit, because otherwise I do have concerns that he is hunched over forward a little bit more again. And he has had back issues in the past.
Yeah.
And if you're overexerting on that back, once again, just to try and get yourself back into form, a little bit concerned about that. So just keep our eyes on that one. However, he did progress to the final at the expense of Michael Smith, where he took on Gerwyn Price. And once again, Cam, the final is won by the man who threw first.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many times have I sat here and said this? I don't like it.
No.
And I know why they do it. We know why they do it. They've got to get the odds sorted before the match and this, that, and the other. But betting companies have very, very good workforces, systems, algorithms to predict all of this and get it all sorted. Between them throwing for the bull, then having the practice darts each and getting started, they could get the odds up and sorted. You could have the odds still first before they win the bull, because that just gives you a different market where it could go either way, and you've got that unpredictability. We've had it before. We used to have bulls on stage, and they were still betting then. And I just don't like it. And it even more so, if they do it in the back beforehand, then they've probably got 10 minutes to get all the odds sorted and get it done. I just think it's really poor, and it's sort of like, it's almost anti-competition. It's just it gives an advantage to a player for no particular reason other than that they were in the top half of the draw.
Yeah. And look, there is, at the start of the campaign, the PDC told us that everybody's going to play each other twice. Everybody will be in the top half the same amount of times they are in the bottom half and whatever else. But I need to go back and double check that, because the amount of times that
I'm not sure
they've managed to keep, well, it's not even the amount of times they managed to keep it. There has not been a single week where Gerwyn Price, Peter Wright, and Michael van Gerwen have all been in the same half of the draw.
Yeah,
in a competition that doesn't have seeding, no matter how you try and stagger players out, at some point they should have been in the same half of the draw.
Yeah, and I think so. I don't think it's worked. Right, I know they told us it was going to do, but it doesn't feel like it has from memory. And if it has, fair play, and maybe we've just seen it the wrong way, or like the early results have gone one way that have made it seem like it's not been that case.
No,
but
I genuinely don't think. I looked through it when the fixtures first come out, and I'll do it again shortly. But yeah. I'm 100% set that those three are not in the same half of the draw at any point, unless it happens on a week 8 or week 16.
Yeah, and they're the only weeks where I'm fine with the people getting the bull, that it goes off your ranking and the people at the top get the bull. Fair enough, they've earned it on those weeks. And if that was the case throughout the rest of it, where just the player that's higher in the rankings, regardless of who they're playing, whoever's highest in the rankings, whether it's 1 against 7 or 2 against 3 or whatever it is, however the draw works, gets the draw, then that's different. But it's just not, and I just don't like it. But we've not actually talked about the game yet, and it was scrappy again. It was below the level we expect again, as it always is when we get to the end. This was where I really noticed the crowd, because I don't think anyone made a noise at any point in this game. I think the biggest cheer or roar in this game came from Gerwyn Price in the entire arena. But he scrapped his way to a win and has put himself right in contention now, where I thought he was out of it, and he's not out of it now.
No, he is just 2 points behind Peter Wright right now. I was just thinking about what I just said about the fact that Van Gerwen, Wright, and Price do not appear in the same half of the draw at any point. And it is a possibility for night 16. Should results go the way next week, should Gerwyn Price beat Johnny Clayton, Michael Van Gerwen then beat Michael Smith, Gerwyn Price, and reach the final over Johnny Clayton, he would move to what? He would move to number 1. Gerwyn Price would be still in contention with those 2 points. He'd move just behind Peter Wright, and there's also a chance for Wright to pick up a point or two. So it would be those Wright versus Price for the right to play Van Gerwen on the 1v8. They would be in the same half of the draw for the very, very first time, with it all to play for next week. However, we have a couple of interviews once again, and there's a few things in the chat room that we'll touch on, and then we'll look ahead.
Can we touch on the fact in the chat room that I got
you got recognised?
That's it. Yeah, can we give a little shout out there to? I've got the picture as well if anyone wants to see it.
C123, did you drop some money and just see Cam at your kneecaps? Because he's not the tallest of blokes.
No, but if anyone wants to see it, I look horrifically worse for wearing that picture.
Standard.
But yeah, it was nice to be spotted, and also nice to have a little chat with the darts fan who watches on with us as well. I didn't think that we reached quite far enough for me to be spotted at an event to
in a different country. No, it's amazing what happens when you me and Jar got recognised.
I really appreciate it though.
Right, we do have 2 clips from Gerwyn Price for you. From the same interview. One of them, I think, is a more serious one. Then one of them is apparently the reason for his upturn in form, or the reason for his form over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to play the serious one first, which I think is this one.
Yeah, I think at the moment I'm probably better than Peter's been playing, because although I've been playing rubbish, Peter's probably been just the same or even worse than what I have. So yeah, it's going to be tough next week, but if it comes down to the crunch, I think Newcastle, I'm going to do it. Yeah, but if I get to the top 4, I will win it, because I know I've scraped through. Even if I finish number 4, number 3, whatever, I know if I get through that top 4, I will win this event, because possibly I don't deserve to be there, but sometimes in tournaments when you have a little bit of luck, then you go on and win, and if I get through, I've definitely had a bit of luck.
Interesting from Gezzy. I love the look right, as if I'm not going to look at the camera when I'm saying this about Peter Wright, as if to say, should I be saying this? Should I be poking the bear or whatever? Am I going to get in a little bit of trouble for this? But he says it anyway, as Gezzy does. And this is the second clip from Mr. Price.
There's a lot more in the tank, and there's a lot more to come. I feel, even today when I was practicing, I said to my mate John, I said, I feel like I've got my own arm back. Like for the last couple of months, I feel like I'm throwing with Phil's arm, but I don't know. Honestly, I just feel like I'm throwing with somebody else's arm and things not going right. But today it felt like, even first 3, 4, 5 darts when I was throwing today, I said, I feel like I've got my own arm back. And
I hate to say it, Phil, because I know you're still watching, but if he was throwing with your arm, he would have halved his average even more. So, because I've seen you play, buddy.
Yeah, I've not seen Phil play, to be honest, but yeah, I mean, probably slightly unnecessary to call Phil out of everyone that was there at that point, but
considering when this format come around, we're like, right, we're not travelling, it's only 1 interview a week. Phil Bars has not missed a week yet.
No, he hasn't. He has not at all. Yeah, fair play to him. He has gone to every single one. He even had an extra night in Dublin, apparently, which Phil Bars very rarely even stays a night, but I think he had 2 nights in Dublin and still didn't manage to catch up with him at any point. But I think that was probably more me than him, to be honest.
Yeah, he's not left Sheffield yet, but I know he'll be driving back tonight as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're right.
Flip-flops and shorts are on.
Yeah. Let's look ahead to next week as per. There's only 2 more chances to do this, Cam. So look ahead to the following week.
Oh, I'll get the note up as well ready so that we can keep a track.
Why?
Of it.
Because if anything of the last 4 weeks' form is to go by, it won't be both of us 2 here next week to look at how well we did.
So I think next week. No, I think I'm here.
And then I'll sit there on Monday's show on the live lounge.
Yeah, no, but then you'll text me and ask me on Monday what.
We'll run through the Premier League once again, because that's what we tend to do. And Phil will ask me who wins and Final Four, whatever, and I'll give completely different answers to what I've given here.
Yeah, and then you message
over the weekend.
And then you'll message me and say, what did I predict? I'll send it to you. You go, oh, I've just said different. So message me before you make your predictions.
No, because then I got both bases covered, and I still get absolutely nowhere near it at this point. I do miss the old prediction leagues that we used to do. They were a good bit of fun back in the day when we started as on the Ucky, myself, Jar, and Mike.
I actually think we should bring that
every single week, and it was a good bit of fun. I think we bet on who gets the biggest room when we went to Blackpool, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, I think we should bring this back. To be fair, seeing as me and you every week, let's bring it in for the final 2 weeks of doing it. I don't know what we're betting on. We'll bet on just a pint at 2020 finals day.
I'm not there.
I thought you were there.
I'm not there.
Since when?
Since about 6 weeks ago. That bloody birthday party, innit?
I thought it was Brad that wasn't going.
No, I can't go either.
Oh, no.
Anyway, right, we're doing this off camera. Why are we talking about T20 finals? On to next week, night 15 at the O2 in London. The first time it will be used, not as the finals venue, I believe, for a full roaming Premier League campaign. Let's not forget the one that was behind closed doors. But the O2 will not host finals night. It will host a regular night, number 15. We start off with an all-Welsh clash in what could be an incredibly important game for the former world number one, Gerwyn Price, against possibly the most informed man in the world right now, Johnny Clayton. Price needs the points to put pressure on Peter Wright, Cam, but where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I'm going where it's needed. I think this game matters more to one than the other. And it's the same reason I fancied Smith to be playing tonight. Johnny's got it wrapped up, and I don't think there's the same motivation to win the money for winning the night. Don't really think that is a driving factor. So now that he's wrapped up being in the top four, with Gezi chasing it and needing it, I think we see Gezi come through here, and I think he wins 6-3. I think he'll put a show on next week.
Interesting. I'm going to go the same way for the result. I'm going to say that Gezi wins this one. I'm going to say 6-4 with the dart, so that'll just be the one breaker throw for the Iceman. Like you said, he needs it more next week, so that's where I'm going to go with that one. It sets up quite possibly an interesting clash in the round afterwards, because the second match on is a repeat of tonight's second semi-final, Michael Smith against Michael van Gerwen.
I really want to pick Michael Smith to get revenge for tonight and get over the line. Do I think he will, though? Just not sure he will. I think when it comes down to it, at the end again, he loses 6-5 to MVG.
My concern is that if he didn't want to play the last couple of days because he's tired, which the rest of the field opted to not play, by the way.
Yeah.
They haven't played 2 games tonight, and I'm pretty sure Euro Tour this weekend is in Prague.
It is in Prague.
So that's either a very, very late flight tonight or a very early flight tomorrow to be ready to go for Saturday. That travelling will add up on it, and I'm just not sure that come next week, given how close or how...
I mean, realistically,
the bounce back ability of him is... I'm just struggling with it a little bit now. Like, can he put it behind him so quickly, move on and go and win a week?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it's not that far to Prague. It's not a huge flight. He doesn't play until the very last game on Saturday at 3:30 in the afternoon. He could go Saturday morning and have a full rest tonight, rest tomorrow.
Just pushing it a little bit, isn't it? Especially if he could have been Saturday night. The fact he's on Saturday afternoon compared to the rest of the players who will be Saturday evening, that's just those extra few hours. Not ideal for the Bully Boy. Don't forget, by the way, get your predictions in the chat room as well, folks. I've completely forgot to say that for the last match. Get some of them up on the screen. I'm going Van Gerwen, which it doesn't effectively, it does. It stops
that
being able to qualify for finals night. He's had his chances the last couple of weeks. He had back-to-back finals earlier on in the campaign, but the bit that will have absolutely, truly done Michael Smith in is that run of 5 weeks in a row.
5 in a row, first round, yeah.
Just ticking over, adding that extra point a couple of times could have made a big bit of difference here. Keep him in striking distance just that little bit closer. But yeah, I think that's it for Michael Smith's Premier League campaign. So I'm going to say Van Gerwen wins that one. I'm going to say he wins that one 6-3 against the Darts 2 breaks. Is my bold little claim for that one. Match number 3, and we are hoping that James Wade will be fit and healthy to continue this Premier League campaign with just 2 weeks to go. He will take on the current incumbent number 4 spot in the table, Peter Wright, in what should be a good encounter if they're both fit, ready to go and healthy.
Yeah, and it should. I mean, obviously, the main thing is we just want to make sure that James Wade is fit and healthy, first of all. That's the main thing. But put that aside for a minute and put it in for what we want to see from the rest of this tournament. We don't really want to see Peter Wright get a free 2 points and give him that extra little bit of advantage in the fight for the top 4, which it will just give him that extra gap again. We want to see James Wade playing and we want to see a good game. And with the form that James Wade's been in, assuming this hasn't any adverse effect in terms of his health or how he can turn up and play or how he can practice this week, I think he's playing a lot better than Peter Wright is at the moment, and I think he beats him. And I think he beats him fairly handily and beats him 6-3. Only one breaker throw him first. I think he beats him 6-3.
I'm exactly the same. What are that? 2? One break back, maybe.
No, if he's throwing first, depending when the break comes, of course. If it comes in the last leg of the season, if it comes before then, it's...
Yes, yeah, I'm going to say 6-3 as well to James Wade, which will have pretty much put him there as well. That those extra 2 points over Peter Wright should be enough. That gap's currently 5, so yeah, I think any result for James Wade, as long as Gerwin Price doesn't score 3 points more than whatever James Wade amasses next week, if James Wade beats Peter Wright, he will qualify for finals night as well.
Did you go 6-3 as well then?
I did go 6-3, yeah.
Yeah.
This one's interesting, although I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but he was 66-1 4 weeks ago. Even as an each way bet, just to go and make a final. With the form James Wade's been in this year, look, the World Championship's a long, long way away, but
I'm still not sure I like him for the Worlds. I think we see him competing in a lot of tournaments this year, the way he's playing, but I'm still just not sure the World suits him, and I don't think it's where I'd be putting my money on it.
I think he'll pick up a World Series. I think he'll go deeper than Blackpool.
I was going to say the match play is where I don't know what odds he is for that, but that's where I might be tempted to have a nibble, but the Worlds isn't the one for me for Wade.
I'll tell you what, I might be looking at the Grand Prix this year.
Yeah.
It hasn't been a happy hunting ground for him for the last couple of years. For a man that is revered as one of the best doublers, he's beaten in the first round so many times in the last 3 to 5 years. But yeah, just having a look at James Wade for that this year.
Can we not talk about the Grand Prix yet? Seeing as
don't know where it is and you're meant to be going.
Yeah, we've already booked flights and hotels to go, and it's now potentially not there.
On to the final quarterfinal of the night, then it will be Joe Cullen against Gary Anderson. Gary only got 10 grand to play for 2 more attempts. He can be the spoiler of the party. But part of me thinks that maybe, just maybe, the next 2 weeks he's just going to turn up and go through the motions.
Just a little nod to Joe Cullen there with a little Oasis reference there. Then maybe, just maybe. I don't think so. I think Gary Anderson wins next week. I don't think Joe Cullen's playing well enough. And I just don't think that he's going to get enough opportunities to beat Gary. I think Gary will outscore him because Joe's scoring is not good at the moment. It's nowhere near what we know he can do. And I think because of that, he won't get the opportunities to take the finishes out. And I think Gary wins this one 6-4.
Are you Mike in disguise? Because you've backed his prediction every single time. He's got Gary 6-4. G said he's with Cam as well. Boys. Cullen wins. He's got the advantage of throw. They're both going to rock up. It will be competitive for the first couple of legs. Cullen will outlast it towards the back end. Both are going to throw a 92 to 94 average. Mystic.
What score are you having?
6-4 Joe Cullen.
Okay.
Nailed it. Finalist and winner, Cameron.
So, I do like this new thing where we do I write them down as we go along because I don't now have to try and remember what I've just predicted 2 minutes ago, never mind a week ago. I think we see a repeat in the semi-finals of tonight's final where Price sneaks over the line again. And I think in the other one, we see James Wade is just going to beat whoever comes through Cullen and Gando. I just think he will. And then I think we see Price win. Price beats Wade in the final.
Close. Van Gerwen beats Wade in the final. Job done. Perfect. What a show once again.
I think if I'd gone your way, I think I'd have had Wade beating Van Gerwen in the final because I think Van Gerwen gets worse as the night goes on.
Potentially. I just beware the scorned green machine, and I think he'll fight back next week against Gezi. If you put Gezi in that final, Wade beats him because he's currently 5-1 against him this year.
I stand by my prediction. One of them needs it more than the other one. James Wade will have qualified at that point.
Close. Very good, very well. Thank you very much to the chat room for joining us once again this evening. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Just one more Fallout bar to go, I think, Cam. That will be... No, we'll go two more.
No, two more, yeah.
Yeah. There won't be one after the playoffs, but there will be one after the final regular.
We're not doing one after the final? Because there won't be... I assume
Monday.
There won't be a live one that night. But we're going to do one on the Tuesday. Because it's a Monday night, isn't it?
I'll have to speak to the boss man, won't I? He's disappeared.
Yeah, that. So I assume...
Well, even worse, I forgot it's changed night. Yeah, we'll sort plans out for the final, but there will be some sort of reaction to the Premier League. We absolutely have to. But that's just the way things go. Two more Fallout bars. Hopefully it'll be myself and Cam to complete the season so we can keep this little bit up between us both. A big thank you to everybody in the chat room for joining us this evening. You guys have all been absolutely amazing. A big thank you to all of our sponsors for our coverage, to Winmore, Red Dragon, Modus, and of course BoyleSports, our title sponsors, for all of our Premier League coverage. They've been on board with us since week number 1, and we couldn't do it without those guys. The live league is currently active on our YouTube channel, so if you can't wait for more live darts, do stay on the YouTube channel. Go and find that link and watch tonight. Action called in by Mr. Paul Nicholson himself. Live Lounge, we're back on Monday night. Myself, Phil, and possibly Boise, unless he's got another Monday wedding, or he's off to watch Man United again or something. But I think the three of us are all back in one place once again. If you don't already, do follow us on social media. We are edging towards all of the targets we need to hit. Like and subscribe on the video as well. And if you don't, go and follow World Seniors for me on Twitter. That one is approaching 20,000 followers as well. Just a couple of weeks now until the World Seniors Masters, so keep an eye out for our preview for that. One of the live lounges in the coming weeks will be our big preview for the World Seniors Masters at the Lakeside. With that, thank you very much for joining us, folks. It's been an excellent show once again, and we will see you all this time next week.